The conspiracy of the Maharlikas, also referred to as the Revolt of the Lakans of the Tondo Conspiracy of 1587 to 1588, was a plot against Spanish colonial rule by the Tagalog and Kapampangan noblemen, or Datus, of Manila and some towns of Bulacan and Pampanga in the Philippines. They were the indigenous rulers of their area, or an area yet upon submission to the might of the Spanish was relegated as mere collector of tributes, or at best Encomenderos that need to report to a Spanish governor. It was led by Agustín de Legazpi, the son of a Maginoo of Tondo, born of a Spanish mother given a Hispanized name to appease the colonizers, grandson of conquistador Miguel López de Legazpi, nephew of Lakan Dula, and his first cousin, Pangan. The Datus swore to rise up in arms. The uprising failed when they were betrayed to the Spanish authorities by Antonio Strabao of Lakans, rebels. The mastermind of the plot was Don Agustín de Legazpi, the mestizo grandson of conquistador Miguel López de Legazpi, nephew of Lakan Dula, a relative of Raja Batanda. Being a Moro, he was the son-in-law of Sultan Bolkiah of Brunei, whose first cousin was Pangan, the gobernadorcillo of Tondo. Besides the two, the other leaders were Salamat, son of Lakan Dula, and the crown prince of Tondo, Juan Bernal, another prince of Tondo, and Salamat's brother-in-law, Geronimo Bassi, and Gabriel Tuambacard, brothers of Agustín de Legazpi, Pedro Balingat, the lord of Pandacan, Felipe Salonga, the lord of Polo, Dionisio Capello, the lord of Candaba and brother of Felipe Salonga, Juan Bassi, the lord of Tajik, Esteban Tiaz, the lord of Bulacan, Felipe Salalila, the lord of Misal, Agustín Minugut, son of Felipe Salalila, Luisa Manicloa, another prince of Tondo, Felipe Malangagui, the commander-in-chief of Katanghalan, Omaricon, the minister of Nabotas, and Pitingatin, another prince of Tondo, and two governors from Malolos and Guiginto. The cause of conspiracy was the continuous injustice committed by the Spanish Encomenderos against the people of the Sultanate and the lack of respect to treaty obligations with the local aristocracy, which reserved them the right to still exercise nominal suzerainty over the vanquished kingdom, being vassal kings of the King of Spain. But still, the generals of Conquistador Legazpi refused to listen. This eventually forced the surviving Maginoo to secretly plot the colonizers' overthrow. Allies from Japan and Brunei, the mestizo Agustín de Legazpi and a group of conspiring Rajas had contacted the Japanese captain Juan Gallo, through a Japanese Christian interpreter, Dionisio Fernandez, who had also joined the conspiracy. A secret meeting ended with an agreement in which Gallo would supply arms and warriors to help in the rebellion and recognized Legazpi as king of the entire Philippines. In return, Gallo and his men would receive half of the tribute to be collected from the Philippines. A significant group of merchants known only as the Sakai merchants, with their leader Luzon Suquezimon, had also been known to conspirate with the royal families against Spanish rule. Apart from the Japanese, there were other secret arrangements that needed to be accomplished before the final plan of the uprising could be completed. First, a secret delegation would travel to Borneo to secure troops and ships from the Sultan of Brunei. Second, there was the need to obtain the support and participation of the Datus of La Laguna and Komantang in the struggle for freedom. Once a full commitment was received from Brunei, Komantang and Laguna, the armed rebellion would begin upon the arrival in Manila Bay of the Sultan of Brunei's warships with warriors on board. The conspirators and their armed warriors would then launch a ferocious attack to completely annihilate the Spaniards and then set the city on fire. Traitor. On the way to meet with the Sultan of Brunei, Magat Salamat, Juan Bernal, and Agustín Minugut stopped at Cuyo, Calamans, to meet with its chief, Datus Umaclob. The Datus was swayed to join the conspiracy and pledged to contribute 2,000 of his men for the cause. However, Salamat made an error in judgment by recruiting another Cuyo native, Antonio Srabao. Upon learning of the secret plan, Srabao rushed to expose it to his master, Captain Pedro Sarmiento, the Spanish Encomendero of Calamans. Once Salamat, Binal and Manugut were apprehended, Sarmiento hastily traveled to Manila on October 26, 1588 and informed Governor-General Santiago de Vera of a brewing conspiracy against Spanish rule. Arrests and punishment. Governor-General de Vera immediately ordered the arrest of all the rebels, tried and found guilty of treason. Agustín de Legazpi and Martin Pangan were hanged, the heads cut off and exposed on the gibbet in iron cages. The properties were seized by the Spanish authorities and the lands plowed and sown with salt so that they would remain barren. Dionisio Fernández was hanged and his property confiscated. Dionisio Capello, the lord of Pangan.The, Pampanga, was exiled from his town and paid a heavy fine. De Vera eventually pardoned him. Later, he served as a guide and interpreter for 2 Spanish expeditions into Igorot country in 1591 and 1594. The other 5 leading members were exiled to Mexico: Pedro Balinguit, Pitimngatan, Felipe Spalonga Calao, and Agustín Manugut. They were the very first natives of the Philippines to settle in Mexico.